Hello, I am Dr. Anita White, and I am currently in my 13th year here at IMSA, serving as the Promise and Excel Program Directors. I would like to thank LaDonna and Krisha for inviting me to talk to you today, and I hope that you will enjoy my presentation. Did you know that although the first PhD in chemistry was awarded in 1861, that this degree was not earned by a black woman until 1947? Her name was Marie Maynard Daly, and she attended Columbia University, but more about that in a little bit. I would like to start out by sharing my story. I was born and raised in the inner city of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the youngest of 3 children, of a steel worker and a stay-at-home mom. I am a product of the Pittsburgh public school system and graduated from a predominantly black high school. I obtained a bachelor's degree in chemistry from Lincoln University, a historically black college in Pennsylvania, and my PhD also in chemistry from the University of Illinois at Chicago. Upon graduation, I spent nearly 10 years in corporate America as a research scientist for a major pharmaceutical company before beginning my career in education, first at a community college and then here at IMSA. While this may sound impressive to some of you, and don't get me wrong, I worked very hard to get to this point. But should you be impressed? I will explain. As I was completing my PhD, where I was the only black graduate student in my class, I was interviewed by a campus newspaper, the UIC News, for an article that was also picked up by the Chicago Defender. The title of this article was "She's One in 1,000," and it focused on my road to success. But it also discussed the need for more black women with advanced degrees in chemistry. The article reported that in 1992, of the 45,650 PhD chemists currently in the United States, only 369 were black, and only 40 were black women. Doing the math, this calculates to a ratio of 1 black PhD chemist woman in 1,170 PhD chemists. What it also means is that following Dr. Daly, that only 39 other black women had obtained PhDs in chemistry in the United States in the span of about 45 years. As I conducted additional research, I discovered some surprising information. The Pew Research Center reported in the year 1999 that of 2,134 PhDs awarded in chemistry in the United States, only 56 went to black candidates, both males and females. And in 2017, when nearly 2,700 PhDs were awarded in chemistry, only 55 went to black graduates. Essentially, no change in nearly 20 years. I noticed that the numbers are only slightly better for the biological and physical sciences and engineering. Now, all of this despite a 2000 Congressional Commission report stating the importance of diversity in STEM. So as I look to the research to explain why there are still so few black PhDs in chemistry and other STEM fields, multiple explanations are suggested. One reason is the lack of representation in the academic community. Most students are motivated to pursue a field where their instructors or role models are of the same race or ethnicity. With this reason, I totally agree. You see, my high school chemistry teacher was also a black woman. Her name is Janie Glenn, and she provided me that motivation that I could also pursue a degree in chemistry. However, in my predominantly black high school, she was one of only 2 black science teachers. At Lincoln University, there were only 5 black instructors in the sciences, only 1 black chemistry professor, and none were women. And in actuality, at the University of Illinois at Chicago, there were no black chemistry professors. But another reason is economic. From educational inequities associated with under-resourced schools, to the fact that on average, black students incur nearly twice as much debt as white students, and they often earn lower salaries. So the thought of encumbering additional debt in graduate school is not one that is appealing to many students. Despite these and other reasons, there is a common thread: racism. Now, when I say racism, I don't mean the egregious acts that resulted in the deaths of Trayvon Martin, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and too many others. The truth of the matter is most black people will never experience these extremes. I speak more of the type identified in the Black at ISMA Instagram posts. And unfortunately, racist incidents such as these will not cease when you graduate from IMSA. The results of another Pew Research Center poll from 2019 found that while 76% of all black people reported experiencing some form of racism, that number increased to 81% for people who had also had some college education. So that's why several groups have taken to Twitter. Like Black at ISMA, black scientists and other professionals and students shared their experiences of being dismissed and discriminated against in academia and industry. One such group uses the hashtag Black in the Ivory. And this was started by Joy Melody Woods, a doctoral student at the University of Texas at Austin, and Sharday Davis, a PhD and assistant professor of communications at the University of Connecticut. One post stated, "It feels like in academia, you're just not welcome." Dr. Alex Moore, a postdoctoral researcher at the American Museum of Natural History, posted, "Being black in the ivory means having everyone believe you were only accepted to meet a diversity quota until you start to believe it yourself. Imposter syndrome is racial trauma for black and brown students." Now, other posts have described how in one case a student had the police called on them when attempting to enter their laboratory at night. And another posted that when she attended a fellowship induction ceremony, she was asked if she was the help. Now, referring back to my own experience, when my research advisor, who was also interviewed for the article, was asked what it was like to have a black student in his laboratory, his response was, "You mean she's black?" Now, I initially thought of this comment as some form of acceptance, but I later realized that in fact, my advisor was not acknowledging my racial identity and that I too suffered from imposter syndrome. Now, in industry, racism was much more overt. I received little mentoring. My thoughts and contributions in meetings were sometimes dismissed, and comments were made that I was not a good scientist. Now, this was despite the fact that my work contributed to the successful submission of a new drug application to the Food and Drug Administration for approval. Now, referring back to the question of should you be impressed? In a world without racism, the answer might be no. A world where black and brown students are no longer the students of color in their the only student of color in their class or department, where more teachers and professors look like them, and where they are not made to feel inferior. Until we achieve the equity that is deserved and no longer need to highlight the achievements made by Black students that are also made by white and Asian students every day with less fanfare, because some don't think that we are capable or deserving. Until that day comes, I will continue to help students determine their potential and develop a plan to achieve their goals, and I will proudly be one of those Black women with a PhD that students can say, "She did it, I can too." And so I say to students to let your hard work and your passion be your motivation. Continue to tell your stories and bring your injustices to light, but keep moving forward and don't let racism stop you. Thank you.